Welcome to APDesign Digital Tools. Today we're going to be covering perforated skins. It's one of the favorite tools of students to come up with some pattern to perforate a metal skin. So here we go. Alright, the first thing you're going to need is a grid of points, or a series of points. So we're just going to grab a square grid, and we'll put a couple sliders on it. Turn down the size a bit. Alright, great. Alright, the next thing you're going to do is just grab a point and put it to there so we get a sense of kind of where all our points are. In fact, let's just use the curves, and we'll use the centroids. That'll be our series of points. So we have the grid, which I'll represent as just a curve. So we have that. It's kind of the full screen of what we're doing, and then we have these series of points, which are the centroid. So the next thing we're going to need is our image sampler. So we have the image sampler, and the image sampler needs a series of information. The input's going to be the actual points. So essentially, whatever image we give it, it's going to look at where those points are in relationship to the image, and they're going to output a value. So here we go. And let's take a look at what image we might want to grab. Grab this gradient. For the most part, you won't want the RGB, because if you'd use an RGB bitmap, which you can use, you're still going to want kind of information that is simpler information. So gradients of black are kind of some of the best ways of using that information. So anyway, I have this gradient. You'll notice that we need to give it a domain for X and for Y. It needs to know kind of what's the sample size look like for the points. So we're going to take these points and we're going to do what's called a bounds 2D. And then we're going to stick a panel on that. Now, before I had flattened, you would get this. Basically, you get a bounds for each point. But really, what we want to do is flatten. And once we flatten, we get one value for U and another value for V. So again, this is relational to not global coordinates, but to local coordinates. So U and a V. So we're going to double click on this, and we're going to replace this information with, say, 4.5 to 265.5, and then the Y domain, which is the V, 4.5. In fact, it's the same, so I'll just copy and paste, or attempt to. Okay. Alright, and then the other thing we need to do is give it which one of these do we want to use. I think we'll want this brightness. So if you happen to give it a color image, you can still use kind of color brightness as giving you kind of more simpler information. Okay. Alright, so now let's apply that. So I'm going to turn these points off, or de-preview them, so we don't get confused. I guess we'll have one set on, and let's see what we're getting out of the image sampler on the output side. So it's getting values between 1 and 0, basically 1 being, I think, white and 0 being black. So it's given a value, and this list will look essentially the same as your point list. So essentially we can take this stuff and apply it to these points. So one of the easiest ways for a perforated skin for that to work is to then do a circle. And the point is where the circle is going to originate, and the radius will come from the information from the image sampler. So let's do that, and let's then preview that. You can see that immediately we're getting a bit of the reading of the image on the screen. Now, if we want to mess with that information a little bit and say change the values, I would simply take a remap, and I would use the remap to basically give a larger range for those. I could also just do a multiplier. So by adding a multiplier, and since I'm saying that I would like to take the value coming out of here and multiply it by 2, and suddenly we get a little bit better reading of the perforations. Okay, that's it.